up, fam? Welcome to Skill Tree, where we learn how to do just about everything. So over the past bunch of episodes, we've been really leaning into like making a lot of things. But today I wanted to cover a really important and pertinent skill that I feel like not a lot of us get enough practice in, which is basic communication. But clever, I hear you say. I talk to people every day. I'm great at communicating. So I feel like a lot of us are good at talking to one another, not great at communicating diverse ideas. As a result, whenever anything that is deeper or maybe a little bit more difficult to talk about comes up, we tend to fade back into the security of more surfacey, safe topics like the weather and your health. Which, given topics like climate change and healthcare for all, those might also not be safe, now that I think about it. But these deeper, more difficult conversations are the ones that are worth having, and in the end, are the ones that are gonna make you grow as a person. Now, it's been said that brevity is the soul of wit, so I'm gonna stop yammering at you, and we'll just go ahead and level up this skill. Listening. Okay, this might seem super basic, but it is the freaking key to proper communication. The problem being, a lot of us hear what's being said, but we don't listen. In fact, a lot of us, myself included, can fall into the trap of just waiting for somebody else to finish their point so that you can interject your point. But I disagree. I thought Phantom Menace was an awesome movie. Granted, it was—
Wait, is he really trying to say that Phantom Menace is a great movie? Never mind the crap dialogue and horrible pacing. It takes one name. One name.
Jar Jar Binks! Though listening seems like a simple thing to do, it can actually be very difficult, especially if the topic that's being discussed is something that you're passionate about. So let's change that frame a little bit, right? What if instead of waiting for your turn to spit out your argument like a freaking gunslinger at high noon, instead, what if we planned on either asking a question or paraphrasing the exact point they just made so that we're sure we understand what's been said? You're saying the tone of the first three movies were directly related to Anakin's frame of mind. Like in episode 1, he was a kid, so it was more cartoony. But as he matured and got closer to the dark side, so did the movies? Yeah, exactly. He even killed all the younglings. I mean, sure, it's an interesting theory at least, why not? From here, we can move away from those surfacey gut reaction arguments and move on to a deeper conversation about tonal shifts over the course of a franchise, or whether a movie should be able to stand alone even if it's within the context of a larger story arc. Both, I would contest, are a more interesting conversation than just Jar Jar sucks. It has the added benefit of letting you see through a different lens and view the world in just a slightly different way than you're used to. Which brings me to my next little tip. Leave the bubble. So it feels good when people agree with you. Validation is all warm and fuzzy and marks you as part of an in-group that us social primates just love. Unfortunately, it's also a super easy way to get lulled into complacency and reinforce some erroneous or even harmful ideas that you might have. Okay, can you explain to me why so many people are posting Dungeons & Dragons crap all the time? Well, I have a social life and friends, so no. Right? I always thought it was for like friendless losers. That's because it is. When a group of people share the same opinion on a subject, the conversation therein becomes just this echo chamber where no idea is challenged and no growth happens on the subject. And it's pointless. You might as well just be talking to yourself. I think I hurt my feelings. But once a different outlook is added— Can you explain to me why people keep posting D&D crap all the time? Because it's awesome. I thought it was for like friendless losers who like to pretend to be wizards or elves or something. I mean, you need friends to play. It's like a mix between improv and storytelling. Just think of it like a big video game, just way more interactive and with a bunch of people you like. When you actually talk to somebody who has a different outlook or experience than you do, you're able to actually challenge your preconceived notions on a subject and grow as a person. Just as a side note here, this was absolutely me. I had wanted to play D&D for a long time, but all of like the media images of it and the view of it within my social circle at the time was always super negative. But then I listened to the McElroy brothers give it a try on the Adventure Zone, which if you haven't listened to, I highly recommend. Fantastic show. But that exposure to it gave me a totally different view of what it was actually like. And now this is the thing that I love doing the most, and it brings me a lot of happiness, fulfillment. I've met a lot of great people, and none of that would have happened if I hadn't made the conscious decision to step out of my comfort zone and experience the thing for myself, aside from listening to everything that has been told to me about it. Will there be discomfort? Yes, but you have to embrace discomfort.
What is for?
Nothing. She doesn't watch the show, she'll never know. Shh. Listen, whenever you're challenging a long-held belief or just wading into something that's unfamiliar, it's gonna feel uncomfortable and it's gonna feel a little scary to you. Even more so once you get into really important and emotionally charged subjects like racism, politics, religion. But we as people, and by extension the society that we live in, can only progress any further if we meet these things head on, rather than just kind of dive back into what's comfortable and safe. And really, that's like any other skill we work on here. It's difficult when you first start, but the more you practice, the better you're gonna get at it. Alright, so now that we've nailed down some of the basics of listening to other people and opening yourself up to their ideas, what happens when it's your turn to talk and you have an important message that you want to get across? For that, you're gonna have to get ready to make your case. So before you jump headlong into the meaning of life, the universe, and everything, you should have a few things nailed down. First and foremost, you need to start with the end of the conversation in mind. What exactly are you looking to accomplish by engaging in this conversation? Is this a debate that you're actually trying to win by swaying the opinions of the people around you? Or is it just kind of for your own education and growth? The difference being, if you come into a friendly conversation like you're trying to win it, you're gonna close yourself off to whatever that other person is saying. Because no matter what, you have an opinion you feel strongly about, you think you're correct, and you're just trying to sway their opinion. On the other hand, there may be times where you really need to stand your ground, and being passive might be a mistake.
What's up?
All right, listen. We're gonna have to start talking about killing and eating kids.
What?
What? What are you talking about? I know. I just don't know how the three of us are gonna make it out of this alive. We've only been down here for 15 minutes.
Okay.
It's just 15 minutes.
But in a survival situation like this,
Yeah?
protein loading ahead of time is the name of the game. And
Hey,
besides,
what are you guys whispering about?
nothing!
No matter what you decide, make sure that you're respectful to the other side of the argument. The second you start attacking the person instead of the position, that just goes to show that you have nothing of substance left to add to that argument. Attacking the person instead of the position, by the way, is what's called the ad hominem fallacy. An ad hominem attack is when you try to skirt around whatever thing is being talked about and go after the character of the person who's saying it. But how could you even argue with it? Shows on things like Netflix now have just as big of a budget as regular like Hollywood movies do, but they have enough time to set up the story. It's just better. Well, you're dumb and your glasses look stupid, so there. It is lazy and it adds nothing to the conversation, and you're better than that. That's just one of a bunch of logical fallacies that you need to watch out for. But I think that's such an interesting and complex subject that I'd like to make an episode about that one all by itself. For now though, and in the spirit of keeping this kind of quick, I'd like to wrap it up with one more point. It's okay. Hey fam. It's okay. It is okay to change your mind in the face of new information. It is okay to have been wrong. And it is absolutely okay not to have the answers to something. I think a lot of us feel lesser for some reason to either to have found out that you have the wrong side of a position or that you don't actually have an answer to a thing. Perhaps there's a larger conversation that could be had here, maybe about our education system being more about spitting out the correct answer than it is about working through a problem. That's actually a conversation that would be super interesting to have. But that's one of the fun parts of life and one of the coolest parts about being a human. You can imagine these different scenarios and think about these different situations and work out for yourself what you think the correct answer would be. Then, through conversation, I can take my thoughts and put them into your brain and vice versa, and we can work out which ones make the most sense. And at the end, we might be surprised by what we were able to work out, and that is magical, that's incredible. But sometimes I don't know is the only honest answer you can give. And admitting that is the first step towards actually finding out what the real answer could be. Okay, so those are my tips on conversing with other human beings out in the world. I hope I did at least a halfway decent job of conveying what I meant. Please let me know down in the comment section if you enjoy these kind of subjects. I know I'm usually making a thing and those videos tend to do better, but things like this and how to get to sleep and Jedi mind tricks and all those things are these cool soft skills that will really help you in your daily life. At least they help me. Now this right here is where I would normally tell you how you could support this channel if you wanted to. Instead, I want to take this time to show my support for the Black Lives Matter movement and for our fam within the Black community. So to that end, the only thing in the description below are some links to some charities. They are specifically aimed at fighting against police brutality and systemic racism. So if you're able to and you're so inclined, please give them a look and give whatever you can. I don't think it really matters where you fall on a political spectrum, on any spectrum. Humans should be treated like human beings. It doesn't matter what your race, your religion, what your sexual identity is. We're all a family. But yeah, in the meantime, be good to each other, and as always, keep leveling up, you.